All right, I've got 6 o'clock Verizon time, so bring the October meeting of the Citizens Transportation Advisory Committee to order. Can we get a roll call?
Yes, we may. Matthew Rowe.
I'm here.
Tamara Banks.
I'm here, thank you.
Right. Is it Bernice
Pierce.
Fierce?
Yeah.
Okay, welcome.
Mhm.
John Castellarian. Justin Chinolf. Jacob Clay. Jennifer Combs. Micah Cunningham. Tara Duran. Patricia Econation. Rupert Farley.
Here.
Glenn Goldsmith. Larry Goss. Or Gross. Jaron Hayes. Neil Holland.
Here.
Michael Hoyt. Travis King. Nicholas Petnosky. David McLaughlin.
He's online.
Online. Okay.
Present.
And okay. Pal, is it Pal
Bakar.
Bakar?
Yeah.
Okay. Ken Progue. James Powell. Dustin Savage. Rodney Thomas. Chairman, we have quorum.
Fantastic. Does everyone have the agenda in front of them? If someone mind, would someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
Mr. Rupert, so move.
Motion from Rupert. Second. Second from Neil. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great. Okay, let's go to the meetings of the minutes of the September meeting.
Yeah, Mr. Rupert, I approve the meeting, the minutes.
Okay, motion from Rupert,
One second.
second from him. Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great. Public comment time.
Yes, this is Jane Leeds. Hello?
Hello,
Sure.
Jane.
Hello? Are
may
you
go
there?
ahead with your public comment. Yes. Can you hear us?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
I have two things I wish to address. One is a question. I have submitted a number of items for informational purposes about mass transit, specifically light rail system. Is anybody reading them or considering them for planning, meaningful planning purposes, or am I wasting my time?
Is that a question?
Hello?
The committee members.
It's a question, but
Staff has provided you all with Jane Leeds' awesome information about mass transit and light rail systems, and she's just wondering if you all are reading it, or if you would like it, or if you don't like it. So she's just asking for feedback from the committee members.
even though we're in public comment right now, I think it's okay to,
It's not really appropriate
Right.
during a public comment period for the
That's
committee members to respond to the commenter.
yeah. I can understand.
Okay.
Sure.
All
Okay.
right. One other thing is I would like to ask for your support, whether it's you or the community. I have proposed to State Senator Reeves of the 17th District to to prepare a bill for the General Assembly requiring the Virginia transportation projects to have audible signals and contiguous sidewalks placed in and around those projects, any new project. And I would like to have your support for that if you're able.
Thank you very much. There's no one else here for public comment. Is there anyone else online for public comment? And do we have any submitted public comment correspondence?
No.
Okay, without anybody else here for public comment, I'll go ahead and consider that closed, and we'll move on to the election of the vice chair. So for the election of the vice chair, the rule is within our bylaws that the chair and the vice chair need to be from two different appointing localities. I'm from Fredericksburg, and the limitation is that in this case, it would have to be somebody from Spotsylvania or Stafford, but it can't be an at-large member according to the bylaws, and it can't be a Caroline or King George member. So that limits it to just people from Spotsylvania or Stafford. So at this time, I'd like to open the floor to nominations. Self-nominate, people can nominate other people, but it has to be someone that was appointed from Stafford or Spotsylvania.
Well, it sounds like Neil would qualify. I would move for Neil. I move that Neil take the job.
All right, there's a motion for Neil Holleran to be the vice chair of the committee. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, second. Neil, do you, before we move forward, is this something that you would accept?
So
Having been voluntold.
before, one, I sense a conspiracy. Two, having been through this before, once I have a fairly significant commitment familial wise with 4 kids at home doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So my issue is having gone through the chair nominee one time and pretty much refused that because it's difficult enough to commit one night a week, which I know 1 night a month, which is not a lot 10 times a year, but you know, for me and where I'm at in my familial life, it's difficult for me. I understand the vice chair is not quite as much of a commitment. However, when that does fall down, you know, and having to attend certain committee meetings or something to that effect, I believe I would have to bow out even if there's a conflict. And I'm not sure that the same opportunity exists for attending policy committee meetings and other meetings in lieu of the chair being able to do it virtually as much as it is here to be able to do that. So I appreciate the nomination, but I believe I have to respectfully request not to be nominated, or whatever the proper procedure or wording is.
I suppose in this situation, is the motion withdrawn?
Well, there's still discussion going on. The odds of you being drawn into, seems to me the
Further commitment?
worst thing that could happen is that you would have to step in and replace the chairman.
It's not happening. No, never.
I don't think you did that, right? But if Neil wants to stand firm on that, I'll withdraw the nomination.
Okay.
Can we get a list of who is qualified?
Yeah, there's a number of at-large members apparently nowadays that I remember from last meeting that didn't appear to be eligible now.
Yeah, it can't be an at-large member. That's one of the things in the bylaws that limits it. It has to be a person that was appointed specifically from Stafford or Spotsy. Because I'm from Fredericksburg, so the city's out.
So
That's one of those more recent changes. Back in the day, at-large members were allowed to be chairman, and I served as chairman for a short time myself.
I can read out folks who are from Spotsy or Stafford, and not Fredericksburg, or at-large members.
Are any of them here or on?
No, I don't think any of them are here. actually. Yes, that's true.
In
So-
attendance, we have 3 people that qualified, that other than Neil.
Do you have an e-meeting resolution, and should we need to refer to one?
Well, I think it's, how does that work? How did that work before? Like if we got into another pandemic situation or something like that? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Then meetings would be online.
Okay.
Emergency relief.
That's how CTAC operated for the better part of a year plus. So, yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yes?
that's Dave McLaughlin. I may have missed it. Have we established we even have a quorum?
We do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Is there anybody that would like to nominate somebody else or someone that would like to self-nominate?
Who are the other members?
So, just read down the list as I have.
Sure.
Jacob Clay, Mike Cunningham, Tara Durant, Lynn Goldsmith, Neil Holler, not Neil, Travis King, Nicholas Kwatnowski, and you, Anne, as well as James Powell.
Is there the possibility of amending the bylaws?
It'd be easier to just select a vice chair. You can always amend the bylaws, but I don't think we would want to be in a situation where we're amending the bylaws on the fly because it suits our purpose at a particular meeting. That probably wouldn't be prudent or proper.
Understood.
Would you be interested?
What do the responsibilities entail?
So the responsibilities are just being up to date on the agenda development so that if the chair is unable to attend, you're not necessarily walking cold. So I can provide an update at your convenience and to be able to take over the chair responsibilities in meetings if needed, or in the case if the chair is removed, that you would at least serve as vice chair until we can potentially identify a replacement.
And I can guarantee that if there's ever a situation where I can't make it to a meeting, I'll make sure that you got everything that you need.
Okay, and it's just me and Neil who are qualified, who are eligible right now?
And then
And you don't want it?
I obviously want to give everyone with prior experience the opportunity. This is my second meeting, so still learning the ropes.
This is my 8th.
I think it is completely fine to have new experience to come in for that. So that would be fine, in my opinion.
Could we maybe establish some sort of an acting position? I'm not sure I can commit to, because the term is a year, yes?
Yeah, it's to the end of the term, and you can always just quit. And like, you
I
can
would
just do
say technically the bylaw states through June.
Through
Yeah.
June. And so my term would end then?
Your term would end, then we'll have an election in June. Now, the new things can say that you may continue on in your jurisdiction. It's just you to continue serving, but yeah, you could continue on potentially after that.
And I would receive any, talking about the agenda development, I would receive that via email and that.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do it.
Are you making a motion for yourself?
I motion to nominate Nick.
Okay. There we go. We got motion from Neil, second from Ann.
Closed.
Just group it all
Any
together.
further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
There we go. It may be pulling teeth, but I'm sure you'll come to enjoy it, okay? Great. Thank you very much for stepping up. Okay, so we'll move on to the next thing. The endorsement of resolution 23-6.
So before you is a new project that's going to be added to AMPO's Transportation Improvement Program. We're bringing it before you because this is a new project, although the funds have been basically earmarked for this for a while. What the goal of this project is to do is to both renovate and extend the length of the platform for the Fredericksburg rail station. In addition to the expansion, there's also going to be new signage, sidewalks, lighting, and other planting and facilities. This cost is approximately just under $10 million there, with it being allocated in fiscal year 2023. We do have a state match and a match with local funds as well. FAMPO is just seeking that because we're going to be taking this to our board as a new project, whether or not you wish to endorse this project for the policy committee.
Rupert.
Isn't it in the plan that this station is going to be demolished and replaced when they bring in the high-speed rail?
Ooh, I do not know.
Well, I know that they have to bring in the third track,
Yeah.
and if I remember, there was one structure that was going to be possibly impacted by that, and that was this building.
Yeah, I think that they might leave the side with the restaurants,
Yeah,
demolish the rest.
I don't think we can compete with the Alpine Chef.
But, yeah. I was kind of curious to know how much of this $9 million is going to be lost when they revamp the station. Obviously, nobody knows the answer to that question.
Well, I'm saying all of it, but it's probably lost already.
I believe you are correct with that, though.
Well, it's disappointing that this remodeling is not going to elevate the platforms, because to me, that's the number one problem with all the stations along the, between here and DEC, is that it takes so much time to load people on and off, because unlike most countries, you got to climb steps in and steps out through a narrow door. And it would be nice for us, people in Fredericksburg, to sort of establish the precedent of bringing these platforms up to level so you can get in and off the trains quickly. I know one reason they haven't done that is because we're sharing the tracks with boxcars. Boxcars aren't compatible with those conveniently located platforms. Um,
Good.
I'm just venting here, actually. I'm not making any suggestions.
No, that's fine. So, that was one of my questions actually, is when the third track does come in. Again, I'm not 100% sure if that's like, fully decided what the alignment of that was going to be. But when the third track comes in, is that going to have any passenger service on it, or is it just for freight traffic? And the two remaining tracks are going to be the passenger rail tracks, or all three up for grabs for passenger service? I don't know the answer to that. Do y'all know?
Good question. Yeah.
I didn't even know they were doing high-speed rail through here.
To me, the smart thing to do would be to have all the freight cars go down the middle rail, and the outside rails can, just be for passenger. And then you got no excuse not for bringing the platforms up to the level of the car.
Can you tell me more about this high-speed rail situation? Is that in the, I'm getting all my terms here, but the long distance or the long-term plan, or what's the story there?
I remember that, I want to say it was a couple of years ago, that they were talking about a couple of different alignments. And I remember there were two big decisions that had to be made. One was in and around Fredericksburg, and one was in and around Ashland. And people got very passionate about what the alignment should be. And I think what they ended up deciding on was a 3-track alignment through the city, rather than trying to bypass Fredericksburg, with some combination of the Dahlgren Spur and then a new track alignment cutting through Spotsylvania near like Belvedere Plantation. So they decided on 3 tracks here. And if I were to remember, it was going to be another track on this side of the 2 existing tracks. That was in the plan that I saw. It's not to say that, after deciding where the general alignment was going to be, that there was going to be change from that. I don't know where that is right now.
Is there any documentation to that?
There has to be, because I remember they had lots of public hearings. I remember they had one down at FCS, like I want to say in 2017, 2018, maybe a little bit longer ago than that. Because I attended it, and a lot of people showed up to that. A lot of people showed up to that.
Could these questions be answered prior to the endorsement, or do they need some form of word tonight?
Well, is this an action item for, it's not listed as an action item here, but is this supposed to be an action item for tonight to endorse or not? Okay.
Yeah.
Can we defer
I believe-
to next month, or?
It will be going in front of the board. So we're actually in our public comment period. There's a 30-day public comment period with any new tip additions, and this qualifies as an addition. So we're bringing on
The policy board,
Yeah.
in front of the policy board.
Sorry, policy committee, forgive me, my committee is always the board, sorry. So no, this one was brought up for DRPT. They basically were ready to go and then realized that it was not in the transportation improvement plan, and this is kind of being added to kind of fulfill that requirement, because it's a major project.
So DC to RVArail.com website that goes into it pretty well.
What is this?
DC, the number 2, RVA Rail.
Mm-hmm. And when you first go there, the first thing that comes up are the Fredericksburg alternative.
Go figure. Well, I did Google Fredericksburg.
What do you-
How imminent is this third track? I mean, if it's 10 years from now.
Yeah, I don't know. Doing it like.
Well,
Then it doesn't seem
what we're
reasonable
endorsing or not endorsing is
to an existing station.
specifically the platform improvement here. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not really talking about bigger picture. That specific.
I think in my opinion, you know, I don't see any controversy in the platform improvement. It's just that I don't know where it is. Now, are we just talking about the two existing ones and that they would be extended? Or are we talking about a new platform on the third rail?
This is the information that we get from DRPT.
Right, exactly. I feel like the information is incomplete, but I'm not mad about it. So it's kind of like I'm okay with endorsing it, but I feel a little unease that we don't have all the information. What does that really mean?
I'll move to endorse only because I'm sure the money will get lost to somewhere else. Maybe it'll be spent somewhere potentially effective and it'll come in front of us again to nowhere, but.
This is Rupert. I'll second Neil's motion.
Motion by Neil, second by Rupert. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, unanimous. All right, staff reports.
Okay, so in the previous board meeting, we have been announcing that our congestion management, air quality, and surface transportation block grant projects are now up and available for our member jurisdictions to apply for. These are for applying for funding for fiscal year 28 and fiscal year 29. There's about $4.7 million available in fiscal year. The amount for fiscal year 29 is still in review with our partners at VDOT. It's expected to be slightly more than that $2 million, but we don't know our existing expectation for that numbers, as well as we've been informed that other projects that have been closed out have actually come in slightly under budget. So there might be a small amount addition there that we can roll over to that. These applications are due in November, and for congestion mitigation and air quality, these are improvements that localities or our partner agencies like VDOT or DRPT can apply for it for as long as it's addressing issues of air quality, so reducing congestion. But surface transportation block grants are pretty much our flexible transportation dollars, so they can fund almost everything with a transportation focus, everything from off-system bridges to bike and greenway facilities to traffic structure improvements as well. Electric vehicle charging is one of the newest things that's eligible through there. So we've made this aware to our partners, so they are going to be developing and submitting applications for this. So if there are any projects that you want them to address, now is the time to kind of start poking your member institutions and say, hey, we know that funding's coming available. Granted, it's for fiscal year 28 and 29, but that's when you would want to make a push.
Who are the institutions you're thinking about, John?
So our member jurisdictions, so City of Fredericksburg, Spotsylvania, and Stafford, as well as VDOT can apply, DRPT. I'm blanking on one right now. DRE can apply.
Transit,
Omniride, yes. So basically, if you're a transportation provider, you can apply in this area.
And Fred Transit.
Yes.
Can you use STPG funding for transit operating expenses, such as paying bus drivers' salaries?
No, it will have to be a transit capital project. That is correct. Okay. Also out, what was informed to the policy committee was the East-West Transit Report. Through this presentation, we kind of had 4 major project or items listed. The policy committee's feedback was looking at the trail and multi-use path in Stafford County. They preferred that in Stafford County that would go to Brook Station. The alignments and discussion with the consultants, they actually made the recommendation to look at Courthouse Road. There was significant concerns with the bus rapid transit light proposal traveling on Route 3. There's also some concerns with the downtown Stafford Transit Center. And finally, the Spotsylvania multi-use path to the VRE station didn't really garner any support, or sorry, not support, any specific comments. It was kind of a mute point. Looking at this, if you, in the transit report, the consultants kind of identified Mount Hope Church Road and going along a sewer easement along this Civil War Park there as the kind of, I won't say preferred alignment, but kind of the alignment that they proposed to the policy committee. Board members kind of pointed out that Boardhouse Road might be a better option. There were some concerns over whether or not folks would want to walk past the landfill in that area, as well as just kind of cutting through an area without a lot of population.
Just before we go any farther on that, on the last slide, I do know that over there by the community college, just below the hospital, they are building a brand new, fairly sizable residential community. So I'm assuming that part of that could be, incorporated into this. So if you kind of chain everything together, you'll have the hospital, the community college, that new community, really not much of a jump to get to the Civil War Park. And then at that point, you're on Mount Hope Church Road. So I do see that currently there is a pretty big break in, where it is a little desolate in that proposed alignment, but it shouldn't be so sparse, not too far from now.
Okay. The policy committee just proposed looking at Courthouse Road.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just bringing you up to speed on what the policy committee is recommending for the project. Also, the policy committee had concerns over the kind of the bus rapid transit operating along Route 3 there between the town center and Gordon Road. Or actually, is that Gordon? No, it's all.
Was out to Gordon Road?
That's yeah. As well as the extension out to Gordon Road. So there is significant concern there. Basically, we're looking at, there's at least some recommendations to drop that entire arm along Route 3. They questioned whether or not the population density there warranted that transit option. There are many different options potentially shown, but that was basically the core concept through it, that they were worried that the bus operating along that corridor would disrupt traffic flow significantly. Okay, the staff for Transit Center, they were updated on this. They kind of made the request that kind of the decision of where to place it be somewhat put on hold. They were saying they're reviewing downtown Stafford as a whole concept. Although at this point in time, the transit kind of transfer point and commuter lot already somewhat exists at that location, or at the location in red, but it's kind of a request to kind of, it's kind of a little bit of a challenge because consultants did a little bit of their work already, but that was one of the things the policy committee kind of requested, as well as yes.
I haven't had much feedback on why it is that Stafford supervisors are reluctant to proceed with the downtown Stafford concept. Got any feedback on that?
It was generally in the policy meeting, it was kind of like, we don't know what we want to do with that area, that they are reconsidering that area for how it's going to develop. And so I think there was just hesitation to kind of start drawing transit centers or transit stops in and along that area as a result of that. All right.
I'm wondering what mark options they were mulling over. They want to leave it as trees versus this, or suburban sprawl versus this, high-rise apartments versus this. I mean, what options are they weighing? Nobody knows. Great.
I'm mistaken, the prior plan was to build the, was it condos or apartments? that is now on pause?
They are revisiting what to do with the downtown Stafford plan. So apparently it's members of the policy committee Stafford said we're reconsidering this. We're going to take another look at it. They don't want to make a firm recommendation, at least from this in this document, as far as what the transit centers would look like in Stafford, or pick a location that the consultants have.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think downtown Stafford was more conceptual. It's not like they had particular zoning laid out or anything like that, or that they had developers lined up to build X, Y, Z. It was more conceptual. And as we were talking about before the meeting, there is some construction there at the courthouse, but that is just for one smaller development. It's not necessarily downtown Stafford. I believe it's called Fountain Park, but that's something different.
Ultimately, the policy committee decided to continue kind of progress and open up the East-West study for public comment, and we have developed a survey of COLA. Do you want to do your pitch?
Yes.
Item?
Yes. Hello, everybody. You should have received an email from the FAMPO email address, fampo@gwregion.org. And for new members, I will send you that email again, or I'll just send it to all of you again if you'd like. About the East-West Mobility Study, you can go here to see the transit report on our website. And that's what we're asking for public comment about. So the proposals for the transit report. And it's just 5 simple yes/no questions. I know this might seem like a very limited survey, but since there was so much conflict about the transit report, even going to public comment, we wanted to make it a very simple survey for the public to take and make their own judgment on whether the region needs a rapid and reliable bus service, if you agree with this bus route to establish a rapid bus service, the transit center that John just mentioned, and 2 pedestrian and bicycle paths. Again, John just summarized all of this, so those are the simple yes/no questions that we're asking from the public to inform the policy committee when they make their decision to endorse this or not. So as many people as possible to take the survey would be excellent. Right now we have 346 responses, which is a decent amount for this area on surveys. So yes, if you'd like the survey link again, just let me know, or I can just send it to everybody again.
When does the survey close?
Next, 20th.
Okay.
Real-time stats?
No, not 20th. It's next week sometime.
Okay.
Real-time stats? Responses?
346.
No, like where they, yes, no.
Oh, yes.
Tracking?
It's pretty, so like the first question I think has 28 no's out of 346. So it's pretty good, but the more people that provide their input, the better, you know?
See the link. I thought I'd taken all the surveys, but it doesn't look familiar.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to everybody again. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Cool. Also, what was presented to the TAC was that FAMPO is kicking off kind of a visioning exercise. This is a kind of a big item vision. We're not looking to develop any kind of plans or specifics or develop any projects. It's going to be a what do we want to do as kind of an organization that if we look out to 2075, what will we be, and what is like the first couple of steps as far as identifying goals that we can do to address those. So this is kind of very high level. I want to even say this is like barely in the orbit. We're just trying to get to the orbit rather than the 30,000 foot level that planners kind of consider up close. So this was kicked off kind of as a result of a survey, kind of identifying what FAMPOL's role and goals were happening to be.
You did receive that survey and take it, so thank you.
The 2075 one?
Yes.
Kidding.
Time
Was
for
it really redraft online?
So this is kind of, if you do kind of look at it, it is literally like, what do we want to do in 27.5? Are we going to look at safety? Okay, yeah, done. Are we going to look at congestion? Okay. Are we going to look at accessibility issues? Sure. Kind of just do this, like, what are the items that we're going to identify and target in developing things further out? This isn't something like it's the long-range plan or the constrained long-range plan. We're actually talking about specific projects. This is just organizational goals that we want to address on the topic level. So, I mean, it is truly developing a general vision statement. So we had 7 objectives. We have this online, like our goal is to improve the efficiency of the transportation network, to increase equitable and inclusive access to jobs, education, and commerce. It goes down as far as like number 7 there was just to retain and fund institutional resources and staff necessary to implement the vision. So these are very broad items. It is in the earliest draft. I think the document's only been even in existence a couple of weeks now, but it's something that FAMPO staff is now starting, and we're slowly taking comment into this. So also updated to the TAC was a slugging survey. Members of GW Ride Connect as well as FAMPO conducted surveys at park and ride lots to identify kind of what our slugging behaviors are. Slugging is informal carpool. Forgive me for jumping into that. We're still seeing a general kind of post-COVID lag. We're only about 33.5% capacity that we were, before COVID. But we are seeing that, unlike in previous years with the commuter buses, that they are very packed. And kind of feedback from some of our other transit providers suggests that we're at least mirroring that same level of activity, or still it's kind of a little bit low due to the impacts of COVID. So we're seeing kind of the same kind of pattern for our informal carpool program. Virginia Clean Cities made a.
Can you go back one more?
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What's the headway?
Heavy times in between incoming cars. So it's how often does a vehicle come into that will pick up a passenger.
Okay.
So a representative from Virginia Clean Cities was looking to kind of get an endorsement from FAMPO. It is a kind of a pilot program to kind of get last mile vans up and running. The TAC kind of requested that they come back with more of a Fredericksburg centric potential proposal. If they want a recommendation, there is no item here that was directly saying we're going to be doing this in the Fredericksburg area. So we kind of requested that if that is kind of a goal for this potential project and source of funding, that they at least kind of do something in our area. But that was a proposal that was pitched to our TAC. So, yes.
Last mile delivery of what?
Normally it's going to be like e-commerce related vehicles, like FedEx, Amazon, UPS, that type of item. So they were looking at getting EVs up and running, that type of commercial use in small fleets, and basically doing kind of a small case study of how they
Right, because a lot of those vehicles have a lot of idle time. So
it was a good proposal, but it was a good proposal, but it just was not Fredericksburg area specific. So there was nothing that directly linked them. So it's kind of interesting, but not necessarily applicable. So
But not,
they didn't say if they're going to do it in the Fredericksburg area, so why would we endorse it? So
What's the public responsibility here? Because you mentioned FedEx and UPS and that sort of thing. Those are all private companies. Why? I'm just curious why this is coming up to a public organization. Oh, okay.
I agree. Now, here's the trick. If they were going to say, we're going to do a pilot study in the Fredericksburg area, we're going to be operating here, would you like to endorse this as a pilot study and basically have that as an item? Virginia Clean Cities does a lot of different projects around the state. It just wasn't clear that they were going to be doing anything with Fredericksburg and what they proposed here. I do think they're having an event later this month. I maybe partnered with the city and Mary Washington, but it wasn't necessarily this. So
are you planning on subsidizing these private companies to do this?
there's a Department of Energy grant, yes.
So that's what the DOE is. Is it 12 of these or 12 is just like the proposal? 12 demonstration and deployment, 12 vans?
So
And then EJ 40, is that like a environmental,
environmental justice for you, yes.
this is like a legislative kind of law thing or something? Is that what that refers to?
It's generally considered to be disadvantaged communities.
So this would be Virginia Clean Cities, which is private, or is that
Probably some kind of weird nonprofit, semi.
private providing these vehicles to delivery? Is that what we're talking about here?
They would be the entity that would be eligible to work with through the grant.
I see.
I have so many questions about it, but it's not Fredericksburg specific, so it's kind of, so. I don't.
So
Luxembourg is far away.
Virginia Clean Cities, 501c.
yeah, in some areas, the Clean Cities initiatives can actually be rolled in, or a company, a regional commission, or be alongside a NPO. It kind of vary depending on state to state. So, another item brought for Stafford County has made a request for VDOT to review maintenance procedures of existing parking ride facilities. Currently, VDOT maintains existing facilities, does basic repairs, but does not do improvements. And they have requested to look into a mechanism that could provide improvements to existing parking ride facilities and or upgrade or replace existing structures. So that is a request to Spotsylvania, VDOT, and something that we will be following along with as that becomes available. So, yes.
Does VDOT have a list of what they own as far as that?
So yes, so their funding pots are kind of interesting. They have the funding pots to be able to go out and build new parking ride facilities, and Spotsylvania kind of identified, hey, you have built a lot of new ones recently, but there's no clear mechanism beyond very basic repair for VDOT to make improvements to those improvements to existing facilities.
So what I'm asking is, do they have a list of which stations, whatever,
Yes.
are owned by VDOT
Yes.
that they own?
Yes.
Where can we get that?
I can pull that for you. So,
And is that recent, Spotsylvania?
yeah, I believe Call from Spotsylvania took those photos. So
Is that Salem Church?
Who do we call?
Or is that the commuter lot?
Oh, okay.
up there?
It looks like Salem Church.
So that is an improvement, because when I went up there.
Except for the parking
right
right now.
inside that shelter.
So like if somebody like broke out one of those panels, they could replace it, but just because it's
Opaque instead of clear?
yeah.
Well,
They-
if
they
that's
would-
a current
yeah.
picture, that's very good improvement, because it used to be black. And there was
Yeah.
somebody actually in there, so that is definitely.
So yeah, so that has been identified, and we are aware that other parking ride facilities are older and have had upgrades, but we are just working with VDOT to find that trigger mechanism that will make those improvements. And finally, we have held, FAMPO held a great summit. We brought in representatives of different, kind of commercial freight entities, or entities that move large items, just to discuss issues within our region. If you're not aware, we're actually one of the busiest freight corridors and the biggest freight bottleneck in the state. There are more freight vehicles on our small little section of 95 than anywhere else.
And we're building distribution centers faster than we can.
Yeah, and we have the highest amount of mileage that the state considers to be bottlenecked. So we're the most reliant on our bottleneck networks. It's basically a very big challenge. But we brought in local freight entities to kind of discuss the challenges. Kind of the big takeaways was that for them, cost is still a big issue. Their shipping costs are less than it was, say, a year ago. It's still much higher than what it was in 2019. They're dealing with driver shortages. They're dealing with the same I-95 backups. They have what they call chargebacks that are time sensitive. So if they can't get a container basically to them and loaded and back within the contracted time, they lose money. And the lead time for even things that are operational, such as forklifts, are significant. So they're still having some great issues that are beyond just the number of vehicles on the roads. Yes.
Did anyone point out that all these freight issues could be solved very quickly and with little expense by instituting congestion pricing? Doesn't sound like it, does it? I talked to one of the principals a couple of years ago that were having a similar survey. A man that had a business that had a lot of trucks. I mentioned to him this would be a way of solving problems. He says, fine with me, I'd pay it. Which makes sense. He just passes it on to the customer. Anyway,
Yeah.
solve the problem. Why don't they bring this stuff up? I know it's right now, you know, the federal rules don't allow for it. But if nobody knows that that's an option, you're never going to get the federal rules changed. Inquiring minds want to know.
Trucks can't use the HOV lanes, right?
I don't believe so, no. But, you know, other vehicles can, and it gets them off the main line.
Right.
But, you know,
If they can afford it.
yeah.
With enough people.
Really a lack of, I mean, was it lack of truck stops from what? Spotsylvania line up to what, past DC? I don't know if there's any truck stops.
There's one in Prince William.
Is there one?
Yeah.
There's one right before 130, isn't there?
Right
I
before
was thinking of like the
Caroline.
VDOT trucks, like the actual truck stop. You're talking about like a truck, like a travel
Yeah,
plaza.
yeah.
Yeah.
Two in Caroline, right? 103 and 110, I think.
104, yep.
Nothing. You said there's one in Prince William. You meant
But I-
turn around.
Yeah, I meant like a place you can sleep, you know.
The one,
Oh, I guess
I thought it doesn't.
Not sure which one before 130 we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's something between 133 and 130.
Is it like the visitors?
Oh, you mean a rest stop?
Yeah.
Yeah, the park. Yeah, that's not.
That's what I was.
Not what I'm talking.
No, but like an actual like truck travel.
Trucks can stop there at night,
Nothing north.
overnight, and then they get cleared out.
Truck spaces.
Yeah, there's only, it's when you go die there at night, because I used to be in state police in the late 90s,
Oh yeah, and they're all
jam packed, and then line up and
Yeah.
park in the wrong spots. We had to clear them out in the morning and get them out of there because it's a hazard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no good. You ever wake up a trucker at 6 o'clock in the morning? You know how you do it? Lights and sirens. And hope his cab doesn't have blackout curtains. I mean, you got to bang on that door pretty hard. But yeah, no, that's it's a good. They do have those, but yeah, those are so limited, and there's so many trucks, and there've been that many for at least 25 years. So
Just because it was brought up that warehouse and distribution center spaces, at least in the information that were provided, FAMPO, despite being the fourth largest NPO population, that we rank actually between fifth and seventh as far as distribution centers and
in the country,
in state. So we lag behind Roanoke, Petersburg, and Winchester as far as our distribution spaces. They have a lot more area.
just for like general distro, or are we talking specific company? Like where they-
There's facilities with a certain square foot. Square footage.
I don't know, I think this fixes itself when either the container stuff comes down and they just suck up the costs. The problem is traffic, it's never gonna get better, but they're,
And adding lanes to 95 isn't going to be the best solution to this. Alternatives would be great. We do have the nice bridge opening up soon, but I don't know if
Yeah,
it's all
the new
4
one.
lanes, but it's at least 2 lanes.
it's 2 on each side.
It will be 4 lanes eventually.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's like, it'd be great if someone
There's gotta be a
need
way-
to go through DC can go around DC without having.
There's a bunch more truck stops off that side.
Yeah. They can all go through Waldorf.
Right. Yeah, I think this fixes itself though, only because the only other thing you could think of is the guys figure out the short haul, right? Instead of getting these guys who are on the road 8 hours for a week at a time, you figure out where the distro centers are and they redo the whole planning thing, which they don't want to talk about because it's not costing them enough money, but eventually.
For example, Harris Teeter that was a part of it, they're located locally. They don't have a Harris Teeter or Kroger in this area, and so they're doing distribution for DC, Maryland.
Right, they've got a longer, right, so yeah.
Yeah.
Build more stores, I don't know what to tell you. But
It's in Stafford on 33, I think.
what's that?
The Harris Teeter distribution.
Is that where it's at?
Yeah, the Harris Teeter. I think they could just open up a Harris Teeter.
There are plenty of grocery stores on 133, but.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So you guys had that here?
We partnered with Fredericksburg Regional Alliance, and we held it in their office. Organization that was sponsoring it. For some of our providers here, they were saying whatever the cost, we'll eat it. So it's not a question. Like for them, it was like containers where it was costing 14 grand. They're like,
We got
you have to do it. You got to do it.
Yeah, well, and those are coming back down now too.
It's back down to 8. That is the staff report. Thank you for being patient with that.
no, that was comprehensive and informative. Thank you. So community reports, the VDOT reporter problem. Do we have an update on that? Is there an update to be read on that? It's just on the agenda? We don't have,
Is this the one where you call for potholes and stuff?
It's a standing item that if anyone has issued a lead on a problem and not received a reply.
oh, okay, gotcha, sorry. Has anyone done that?
No, every time I see a pothole, I never my phone.
Right.
Could, survey, maybe we can send out the lead on report problem link. It does generate a work order. And if you don't receive a reply, I'm here. Work order number, will follow up.
Wasn't this was originally in the context of the January storm, right?
As a result of that, with all the trees down, pointing out areas
Just
that need to be addressed. But like I said, it's good to use the system and then for us to receive a reply.
Yeah, every time I've called about a pothole, the thing gets fixed in like 3 days. It's ridiculous. The problem is they don't stay fixed.
We're gonna get the drivers off the road. So.
That's right. It's impossible. You have to eliminate the people driving.
All right, we'll go to member reports, but before we dive into that, we do have a new member with us this evening. Mr. Bierce would like to introduce himself to the committee.
Hi, my name is Brett. My dad is Mr. Bierce. I moved to Fredericksburg about 10 months ago from Syria. Something. Change. A good change. Transportation issues have always been an interest of mine. Changing how the actual district and how addressed riding transportation issues over that period of time. It's been- so, this is a fast growing area. To provide my opinion.
Great, welcome. And it's always good to have new perspectives coming in. So having that come in, that's fantastic. Any other member reports? Topics of interest or anything else?
This is Dave McLaughlin. I have one.
Go ahead, Dave.
So this is kind of interesting sitting here out in the ether and listening in. The things of the actionable things we need are at least 2 telephones in that conference room of that size, one at each end so you can hear people. And so I hope FAMPO is hearing this. I hope I'm coming across loud enough because there's only one speaker in the place. The other
We
thing
are
is,
just fine.
and individuals, now that I'm, because I'll be in the next meeting sitting here at the table, so this is talking to myself as well, but we really need to talk up and speak up and talk towards the speakers that are there available for us, or the microphones, so people can actually hear what's going on. I had a terrible time hearing a lot of discussion, whole lot more input I would have made if I could have, but I couldn't follow what had already been said. My comments on, that we came to the discussion of the train station improvements, and no one, at least I couldn't hear it, was saying that, yes, there is a project. I mean, Farley brought it up. There is a project to actually that station will go away, and there'll be a new station closer to the river, which will adapt to the 3 railroad tracks we have. That is in the plans and in the books, but that wasn't able to be addressed by FAMPO or anyone. And maybe it wasn't, I just didn't hear it, so forgive me there. This whole thing about the plan of for 2075. Are you kidding me? So if you looked at that thing, all it was a bunch of bumper stickers that would apply in 2026, 2086, it talked about, there was, I think, item number 7 that talked about, we needed in 2075, we need to be worried about what happens when the gas tax away, because there's a lot less gas tax cars. Seriously, 2075, we haven't figured that out in the next 10, 12 years. The last chapter, or the last phrase following up, says that we need to look at what our sourcing and our staffing and our in 2070. It's just, I hope if that comes up for the CTAC as an addition to the tip, because it has to be in the tip to be funded. And if it comes up that, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to vote for any money spent on doing a 2075 vision plan. It is just a bunch of bumper stickers attached together that have no objectives. The last paragraph of that document says, well, these are objectives and things we're going to accomplish. It is no objectives. It is a bunch of bumper stickers that are aspirational at best. So anyway, thanks.
Well, thank you, Dave.
Tell us how you really feel.
I appreciate it.
I'm just curious, Dave, your original comment, is it difficult to hear everybody, or is it one end of the tape? I mean, can you tell by who was talking? I mean, was it John on his end because he was doing most of the talking, or am I difficult to hear talking right now?
No, you're great. It's very inconsistent. Typically, don't take this wrong way, but typically females have a higher register and a lower voice, and so they're harder to heal. I mean, that's just typical. Where Polly was hard to hear because she's away from the table. Okay, so it's just it's something that FAMPO needs to work on in general, not specific to CTAC or anybody else. So thank you.
Rupert.
Well, for the record, another person listening in is the closed captioner. And she's had difficulty with everybody on that side of the table except Neil. And she's had difficulty with John.
Can we requisition some condenser mics or those in the budget?
Polycom phones are usually really pretty good about stuff, but it just depends on, I mean, acoustics and this and no offense, Mayor, tapping and other people shuffling stuff nearby. I mean, it's all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it could be a bunch of different things, but yeah, I mean, I think for the, comments and keeping up, I've been on Dave's end a couple of times myself. It's always hard to keep up online if you're not really paying attention. And then, yeah, sometimes it's hard to hear certain people in the room. I would tell you, Dave, you of all people amongst everybody else has the complete and utter permission, I'm sure, of Matt and our new vice chair to, throw the gauntlet down on the phone and say, hey, hold on a minute. What that is? Because most of the time when people come over the mic, it's pretty prevalent and we'll stop and, go back over that stuff. So I would say that that's a standing order for everybody in the room. If you really got to get your point across or want to cover something that wasn't heard, no reason we couldn't repeat that. I know some people aren't quite that aggressive, but there's no reason for you to have missed something or not been able to interject when it was happening.
Sure. Do we have more of these supplemental receivers here that plug into the phone mothership?
Connectors. I would imagine. To disconnect. It looks like there's only two.
There's only two. Okay.
We can check it after the thing. It could be two more on the thing. Who knows?
Okay.
Could I say one other thing?
Yeah.
So don't take me wrong. I've been an active member of CTAC for a long time. So I'm not, I know I sometimes come across as critical. I don't mean to be a critical. I mean to get us to a better place and to get to things that are important to us. And to constantly improve, not to tear down. So please don't take anything I said in the wrong way. I did not intend it that way. I am a solid, committed member to CTAC, and I want to see us get better and better and better.
Now, being critical is not necessarily a negative. So yeah, no problem there.
Second.
I do have one other. I guess I have a member question, and this is something that I was wondering just because I do drive on 95 often enough to notice this, but the variable speed limits have been in place for a couple of months. Does VDOT have I'm interested to know if VDOT has a plan to review the success up to a certain point at some future time, after 6 months or a year, if there was going to be a review to see how it's gone. And again, I'm not a traffic engineer. I don't know better, but just from being a person that uses 95 and can see what's going on the northbound lanes, it feels as if it's not working as intended. But again, I can be completely ignorant into this and just need to be told that I'm wrong. So I'm just wondering if VDOT has a plan for, like an after action, after development review of this, and when that would be coming out.
Would you like?
I'd like to
Staff
find.
ask VDOT.
I'd like to know.
Okay.
I
So
assume
Matt-
there would be.
Yes,
Yes.
Dave McLaughlin. So the original press releases were that they were going to evaluate after a period of time.
Okay.
Specifics under that, how much input they're going to get from the public or any of that other stuff. So your point is brilliant, and CTAC could make an input to that for sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, just because I noticed that, the speed limit happens to go down right as the traffic starts, which feels counterintuitive to how the variable speed limit should have worked. I would have thought that you would lower the speed limit farther down the line so that you kind of spread the traffic out. But again, not a traffic engineer, could be just misreading the situation, but curious to know.
It hasn't even been a year, right?
It's been a few months.
Yeah.
It's been like 4 or 5 maybe.
March or April.
March or April? Okay, so it's about that. Been about 6 months then. Any other member reports? Okay, we have a second public comment period. Any comments and questions from the members of the public are welcome at this time. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to future agenda items. The calendar year 2023 meeting schedule.
So in November, we'll bring a draft calendar for CTAC to review of the meeting schedule. So just be aware of bringing your itinerary for the next year because we'll go over that at that point. So it's mostly just identifying and mitigating how we move the various committees around to address for holidays, but we'll set that schedule at the next calendar meeting. And I'll just jump to the second item. There's a document on FAMPO's website, which is the CTAC cheat sheet. It references individuals that are no longer on the committee and or other outdated information. So staff is going to clean that up, make it a little bit more evergreen as far as instead of explicitly listing people's emails that might not be on the committee anymore, to just reference the position like the chair or the vice chair in those instances. So staff will be coming to you with those updates so that document may remain, although be updated to reflect their present.
This the one on the website?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so there's not like yeah, all right.
Okay. That's the last thing on the agenda. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
This is Rupert, so move.
Moved by Rupert,
I'll second.
second. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Adjourned at